All right, today is chapter 9 of Second Corinthians, still continuing on this theme and idea of charity and giving as they're raising funds from the Corinthians and encouraging them to donate more to help the starving saints in Jerusalem because of the major famines hitting the Jerusalem area. This chapter is kind of an interesting one. Scholars have a bit of a debate going on about this chapter because this chapter, Paul's going to talk about some of the challenges of raising the funds and getting things together for them. And some scholars think this actually might be a separate letter that was written that they kind of got combined into this chapter later on. Like these are different letters that ended up getting pulled together. So as we read it, kind of keep that in mind. This chapter actually might be a different letter from Paul that maybe was later that got added in or other things like that. So this could have just been added into, these letters could have been combined to create the book of 2 Corinthians, basically. So let's get in here and talk more about this. Verse 1, "For as touching the ministry to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you." So again, now he's mentioning this idea of writing to them right off the bat. "For I know the forwardness of your mind, for which I boast of you to them of Macedonia, that Achaia was ready a year ago, and your zeal hath provoked very many." So this is referring to Greece and Corinth, basically, that he's talking about. So he's mentioning, guys, I've talked with you about you to the Macedonian saints. They think you're great. There's this zeal and opportunity here. This is wonderful. Verse 3, "Yet have I sent the brethren," or basically the missionaries, lest our boasting of you be in vain in this behalf, that, as I said, ye may be ready. Lest haply, if they of Macedonia come with me and find you unprepared, we should be ashamed in this same confident boasting, that we say, not ye." So we. So he's like, guys, we've kind of talked you guys up. Some of the Macedonian saints want to come with us to help to gather everything and pull it together. We told them you guys are amazing and would donate and do well. So again, this might be like another letter that Paul sent off going, just so you know, we've got some expectations to meet here. You know, we've kind of talked you guys up, and I hope you can meet these expectations and to do these things. Verse 4, lest haply, I just read them. Verse 5, excuse me. "Therefore I thought it necessary to exhort the brethren that they would go before unto you and make up beforehand your bounty, whereof ye had notice before, that the same might be ready as a matter of bounty, not as covetousness. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully." So Paul's getting them ready to do these donations, and he wants these other saints to see them as willing to donate, willing to do things. And again, not as covetousness. Again, we're not trying to make this a competition or a race or things, but we want this to be from the heart. We want this to be important. But verse 6, he reminds them, if you give a little, God will only reward you a little for your efforts. If you give a lot, God can reward you more abundantly. Verse 7, "Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver." Now he brought this up in chapter 8 as well. Again, we want it to come from the heart. We want it to be a sincere gift. The amount's not a big deal. If you're giving a sincere gift, that you'll give what you can. And so long as it's sincere, the amount isn't making a big difference. This is consecration. It comes from the heart. That's consecration. Don't give because you're supposed to give, like necessity, and don't give grudgingly because you're like, well, I don't want to have to give, but culturally and socially I should give, otherwise everyone's going to think I'm an outcast. So I'm giving because I'm afraid of retribution. That's not a good reason to give. Give because you want to, because you are important. It's important for you to show that kindness to those people. That's real giving. The amount isn't as important if it's really from the heart. You'll give abundantly if you give from the heart, because you truly want to help those people out, and you'll monitor what can I give based upon what I have. That's consecration. Okay, that's an important point. Now, verse 9, 9 and 10 are in parentheses. It says, as it is written, he hath dispersed abroad, he hath given to the poor, his righteousness remaineth forever. Now he that ministereth seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness. So when you look at this idea, and now as it says here, as it hath written, he's quoting, I think this is coming from, I'm not sure actually where that verse is coming from. The footnotes don't show specifically in here where that verse is coming from. If you know, if you're much better scriptorian than I know, then please put that in the comments where that verse is coming from. But he's saying basically, again, verse 10 is kind of the idea of, we're not just giving you a fish, we're teaching you how to fish, which is not just multiplying your food, but multiplying your ability to have more food in the future. Increase the fruit of your righteousness. So if you give, and you give from the heart, it's going to be reciprocity for you as well with God, and you'll get more abundance, and it's going to be great, and you'll have God on your side to help you. Verse 11, he says, being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causeth through us thanksgiving to God, for the administration of this service not only supplieth the want of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto God. Whiles by the experiment of this ministration they glorify God for your professed subjection unto the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men, and by their prayer for you, which long after you for the exceeding grace of God in you. Thanks be to God for this unspeakable gift. So again, guys, he's like, God has abundantly blessed you. You have an amazing stuff. It's time to share. It's time to help these saints who are starving. They've helped you in the past spiritually, because that's where Jesus and his apostles came from, was the Jewish communities. Now let's help them out with their physical needs. And the more you're willing to give, the more God can help you, and it's going to be a good thing all around. So please give, please help out, is where he's coming from. So that's this chapter. Again, this could be a separate letter that was added in. Hopefully you can kind of see that possibility, that option in there, that maybe this is another letter. This could be 3rd Corinthians or 4th Corinthians, kind of an idea brought together. This letter was probably not meant to be out there with all the rest of the other letters we've read from Paul. This is more focused on the Corinthian saints going, hey guys, we've kind of talked you up. We need help to make sure this works out. Please help us. Please get this worked out. So this is probably one of those letters that maybe wasn't meant for the general audience, but still was a letter of Paul, and so it got added to, combined into here, and we have it still preserved today in the Bible. Let's jump over to the next chapter as we continue the book of Corinthians.